If you have a Ring or a Nest doorbell or camera at your home or any other kind of CCTV, then this video is for you. Because I've had a number of discussions in comments and in person just recently to confirm to those individuals that had the misguided understanding that GDPR and data protection laws do not apply ever to individuals. So I'm going to explain that again in this video. Now I am talking about the law of England and Wales here, but it might be interesting to people in other jurisdictions because this sort of issue is quite prevalent worldwide currently. So if you install any of these cameras at your home and capture any imagery or sound outside of the bounds of your own property curtilage, then whilst that itself is not a breach of data protection laws, and at which point some people believe that they don't apply to individuals at all, which is not the case. They do apply, but they are obviously less likely to cause serious issues than they would be if it's, let's say, a company that's doing it and doing it outside of the realms of what is necessary. But the realms of what is necessary and proportionate still applies. There was a very interesting case which I went into in some great detail, which was Fairhurst and Woodard. Now, this was a lengthy judgment in the County Court of England and Wales, heard by a circuit judge, Her Honour Judge Melissa Clark, that went through several issues here of breach of Data Protection Act of an individual who was neighboured to the claimant and was found to be in breach of data protection laws because he was capturing more than was reasonably necessary, and then with what he did with that information, it was found to be a breach and he was open to damages. I'll link that video below. You can go and watch that. So I don't intend to go through that in any great detail in this video because I've already done that once. But the principle, I believe, is worth going over again, because a lot of people believe wrongly that data protection just doesn't apply to you. Now, if that were the case, it would allow you, as some people have quite horrifyingly told me in the comment section, that they have had cameras pointed at their garden or in some cases at their child's bedroom. Now, to coin the phrase that I used before, you don't need a lawyer to tell you that that's wrong. And even if it wasn't a breach of data protection laws, which it most probably is, then it's ethically wrong and it would amount to some kind of nuisance because it's ongoing and it's causing some kind of psychological harm, presumably to the child and probably even the parents. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Some people still seem to think that's okay. I don't, for what it's worth. I don't often venture opinions on this channel, but my opinion, so far as this is required, that's wrong and you shouldn't be doing it. So, coming back to the borderline, quite literally the borderline of what's right and wrong here. If your camera is pointed and capturing just a slither either side of the fence so that you can maintain the security and the protection of your garden entrance and things like that, that's probably okay. If it's more than that and you can see your neighbours sitting down at the other side of the fence and every time they come and sit down, that's on the boundaries, no pun intended, of being wrong. And particularly if you're capturing sound recordings, this is one thing that the Fairhurst judgment went into in great detail. There's not usually a need to capture those sound recordings because you're likely to be recording conversations, probably private conversations. Well, they are necessarily private if they're in someone's rear garden. It's private by nature, but the conversation itself may be of a private nature. That's what I meant. But you'll be likely to be catching those on your recordings. And if they made a complaint to you about it, data protection laws do apply. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to register with the ICO as an individual because you've got cameras at your home. That's not the case. And it's not an automatic breach of data protection law just because they do capture somebody outside of the bounds of your property. But know that you could be sued if you go quite literally beyond the boundary, pun intended this time, of what is reasonable to capture on that footage. The ICO provides guidance that the first thing you should do is contact the person, ask them why they are using it, explain your concerns, and ask to see what they are recording. And that is one of the rights of access under data protection law. If you believe that you are caught on their cameras, you can ask for that to be given to you. It is slightly different if it is just your doorbell and someone's coming up to ring your doorbell. Then it's understood that you might well be capturing them on your doorbell camera so that you can show them coming up. But I will link both the ICO guidance to this effect. It's aimed for the public, so when you look at ICO documents, don't be confused by the different sections. They've got one for the public and one for organizations. The organizations is obviously far broader in its content than that for the public. The public is relatively narrow because it's relatively straightforward. I will also link the judgment, a link to the judgment for you to download it, which, if you are so interested, will go through each aspect of why this defendant was held to be in breach of the Data Protection Act. And so, for the avoidance of doubt, the laws do apply. You can be held in breach, and in this case, Mr. Woodard was found in breach of the Data Protection Act for use of cameras at his own home. So I hope that is a useful reminder, bit of a warning perhaps, because most people won't abuse where they place these cameras and where they point those cameras, but some people will. And I do know that some people get into this difficulty and have cameras pointed at their properties. In other jurisdictions, you probably have a similar law. It probably reflects the English and Welsh law to a broad extent, but obviously go and check that out for yourself. I hope that was interesting. I hope it's useful. Please do remember to like and subscribe to this channel. 60% of you don't, so please do that now, and hit the notification bell so you get updates on my further videos. In the meantime, thank you for watching.